Hello and welcome back to World 360. On 1st June, Malaysia banned the export of chicken to secure domestic supply. Sounds familiar, right? India did the same with wheat in May, and Indonesia did the same with palm oil in June, all of which appear to be the result of a global food shortage amid the Ukraine war. Now, Malaysia's ban on exports of chicken, however, has disrupted the food supply chain in neighbouring countries. Take Singapore, which sources a third of its poultry from Malaysia. Malaysia's ban has now left Singaporean cooks and hawkers unable to produce their infamous dish, chicken rice. Figures indicate that Singapore imports about 34% of its poultry from Malaysia, 49% from Brazil, and 12% from the US. But Malaysia is key to Singapore because it would usually export live chickens. That's where countries like Indonesia, who have been trying to fill Singapore's supply gap, have been lacking in competition. After Malaysia's ban, Singapore began looking to countries like Indonesia and Thailand for chicken imports. Indonesia, however, has only been able to export frozen chicken. Indonesian companies like CPI even signed contracts with Singaporean importers to supply 1,000 tons of chicken meat until the end of the year. The chicken meat crisis has clearly made countries like Singapore rethink their dependence on just a handful of countries for poultry imports. So it is likely that even if Malaysia lifts its export ban down the road, Singapore will continue importing from a diverse basket of suppliers such as Indonesia. But Indonesia still faces the challenge of exporting live chickens to Singapore across the seas before it becomes a competitive supplier. What's interesting to note is that earlier this month, Malaysia actually reported a slight oversupply of chicken. However, it is yet to lift its export ban. Malaysian Agriculture and Food Industries Minister Ronald Kiandi said last Thursday that the ban will stay in place, but that the government will stop subsidizing farmers. It goes to show that the country is still being cautious before it plans to review the ban on 31st August. Now, to understand why Malaysia has been so cautious, it's important to understand what caused its chicken shortage in the first place. Malaysia needs about 69 million chickens a month to satisfy its domestic demand. But in February, around the time that the Ukraine war began, chicken supply began to drop due to high costs of chicken feed and other factors like the increasing number of deceased, dying chickens. By April, Malaysia's chicken supply was 15% less than what is required for domestic demand. Some reports said that chicken cartels, in which 4 companies held a monopoly over the market, could have played a role too. Malaysia imports chicken feed. However, the price of chicken feed had nearly doubled around April-May. Animal feed reached as high as 140 Malaysian ringgit or 2,500 Indian rupees per bag, as compared to the usual 80 Malaysian ringgit or 1,400 rupees per bag. Farmers were deeply affected and many lost their jobs. The situation forced the Malaysian government to simplify importing procedures of soya, wheat, corn, as well as animal and plant-based livestock feed to bring down prices. Now, despite an oversupply of chicken, Malaysia is still treading lightly. It is likely to review its export ban on 31st August. The Malaysian government had earlier approved 1.1 billion ringgit or 19 billion Indian rupees in subsidies for chicken and egg farmers to alleviate the rise in feed costs. It was definitely a bold move given the Malaysian ringgit is already at a 5-year low. However, now that the government has decided to stop offering farmers subsidies due to the oversupply of chicken, it remains to be seen whether farmers will be able to stand on their 2 feet. Only that will determine whether the export ban gets lifted and Malaysia's neighbours will get some relief too. Thank you so much. This is Pia Krishnankutty for ThePrint. Do subscribe to ThePrint and follow us on social media.